now we've made it to the end, the final act. This is the culmination of everything that has come before, where most things are wrapped up and our heroes, and villains, give it their all. Act 3 in the Avengers starts off with the final battle as the portal opens up in the sky and aliens descend upon New York City and start tearing things up. This is a fairly long action sequence with plenty of moments where our heroes move forward and moments where they're set back a step or two. It has a bit of a push and pull dynamic. It all leads up to a decisive moment in the battle. A final moment that will determine whether your protagonist wins or loses. Towards the end of this giant alien battle, the World Council decides to just nuke the area to kill all of the aliens, with the downside being our heroes will perish too. Tony Stark could steer the nuke away from the city, but the only place to take it would be through the portal and into space. If he makes that decision, there's a big chance he will be stuck in space and eventually die there. If he doesn't, there's also a chance the nuke will kill everyone in that area. In this decisive moment, he chooses to steer the nuke through the portal. This decision ends up killing the aliens and brings the end of the battle. Tony falls through the portal and is saved by the Hulk. They apprehend Loki once again and it's clear that he's done for. Now that the battle is over, we have some wrap-up scenes. This is to provide a bit of closure for the audience before they leave the theater. We see the world's reaction to the alien invasion and our new team of heroes. Thor takes Loki and the Tesseract back to Asgard. The rest of the team say their goodbyes as Nick Fury talks to the World Council about the future of the Avengers. And there it is, another finished story. Let's put it all together, shall we? We started with a story concept. We came up with characters for the story. We came up with the broad strokes of a 3-act structure with ideas on how scenes should play out. Then, we drilled down and filled out the 3 acts. Starting with Act 1, we introduced our world to the audience along with the characters of our story. We had the inciting incident happen, which kicked off the story and made our characters get involved. At the end of Act 1, the characters are committing to a goal and there's no going back. Act 2 started off with a sequence of conflict and action that was mostly positive. Unexpected new problems popped up, which challenged our protagonists. We had another round of conflict and action, only this time it was mostly negative. This sequence of events left our heroes at their lowest moment, but they pulled through and came up with a new plan. Act 3 brings us to our climax, or our final battle, which has some positive and negative things happening to our heroes. It leads to a decisive moment that a protagonist needs to make, which will determine whether they succeed or fail at their goals. The outcome of that decision ends the battle, and we spend a little bit of time wrapping up before rolling credits. For the final activity, let's flesh out what you wrote earlier for Act 3. In their final confrontation, protagonist has to blank in order to win over antagonist. We need to break this down into a few smaller moments. In the final battle, protagonist does blank to antagonist, while antagonist fights back and does blank. This makes protagonist make a crucial decision to blank. This ends the battle. As we wrap up, we see blank happens to protagonist and blank happens to antagonist. At this point, you should have a rough map of what happens in your movie. Congrats! How cool is that? Hop on over to the next video to find out where to go from here.